desired. So now we have a range of negotiations. Most desired, least acceptable, and goal. All right. So remember I told you before we want to ask for what we want, not what we think we can get. So when I think back to when my youngest was 3, I took her to an amusement park, like Disney. And you go through, we had a day riding the rides and doing all this stuff. And then at the end of the day, they always had you walk out through the gift store, and to try to get your money at the gift store. And so I had already bought her this little character, but she loves candy. And so it was just she and I. We were having a special weekend, just she and I. And so her name's Ellie. I said, Ellie, would you like some candy? And up on the shelf, they had these big bowls. And inside each of the bowls, they had these individually wrapped candies, these hard candies. So she asked for what she wanted. She looked up at the bowl, and I said, would you like any candy? And she said, yes, Daddy, I would. And I said, what would you like? She said, I want that bowl. She wanted the whole bowl, So that was her most desired outcome, right? Was the whole bowl of candy. So, for me, I was thinking one piece. But now since she asked for the whole bowl, I felt, geez, I can't just give her one piece. So I ended up buying like 7 pieces because she had asked for the whole bowl. If she'd asked me for 3 pieces, I probably could have gotten it down to 1. But since she asked for the whole bowl, I would feel silly.
And she would be
saying,
frustrated.
Here's 1. Here's 1. So when we ask for what we want to ask for our most desired. But we've thought about this in advance. And that's the important thing of negotiating, getting back to what we were talking about. That maybe we can't teach some of these innate skills, but we can teach people to be properly prepared. And so if they have a good process for preparing, and they thought about MDOs, they thought about least acceptable, they know what their goal is, they're going to be much better at negotiating because they have in their mind where they can go. If they don't have it in their mind, they're going to be in trouble because that's when they'll try to wing it and get emotional and not do a good job of negotiating. So most desired, least acceptable, and goal. All right, any questions about those? Those are very important. And then BATNA, this BATNA, best alternative, that's your walk-away point. Lowest level, then you walk away. So we won't do a deal. Okay. Now, negotiations is a communication skill. It's about making concessions. You have to be open-minded. We don't have just one number in mind. We have a range now. MDO, goal, LA. So we have to basically think about how can I make movement and how can I get the other party to make movement. That's what we're going to talk about next. All right, let me just show you your graph here in the Portuguese version. So again, MDO, goal, LAA. So that would be a MAPAN.
No, I kept yours under your letters. It's your thing, sorry.
It's the first letter in English, so for you guys.
I just translated the meaning.
I'm mapping, I like that, MAPAN. So, most desired, least acceptable, walk away, point here, walk away, plan B, okay? All right, so let's talk about concessions now. So we've talked about, this is our range of negotiations. Let's talk about concessions. Plan to move. Think about making movements. We can plan all this in advance. So plan to be flexible. Think about your linkages, and here we go. So we're in a negotiation. We're trying to sell this particular item at $1,000. That's what we tell the other party. We're interested in selling this at $1,000, reals, whatever, per unit. And they come back with, nah, that's too high. We're thinking more like 520. So we need to have some movement, some concession plan built into this. So what we do is we have our first concession becomes our second solution. We've already mentioned 1,000. We go on and we say, well, how about, I know that this is, you couldn't buy it at 1,000 or whatever. I appreciate that. I think that since, you know, you're a good customer and potentially we can have great business together, we would consider selling this at 900. Okay, so we've made a concession. And that's what negotiations is about. It's about flexibility and it's about movement. There's another one, 850, okay? There's another one, 825. So we keep moving basically each time. All right, and here's the other side, the Portuguese side. So our solution number 2, our solution number 3, 850, here comes 825. So what we've done is we found a way to move from our most desired outcome to our goal in an orderly fashion. All right? What we've actually done is we followed something called the rule of halves. All right? And we're going to actually put this in place in just a second. I'm going to give you guys a case that you can work on real quickly, and we'll see how this works. So, this is called the rule of halves. All right? We'll call that halves like this in English. And what you have in the rule of halves is the two axes are, down here you have the different offers or solutions that we call them. So this would be our MDOs over here. And we have number 1. I'm sorry, they do number 2 on the slide, number 3 on the slide, number 4 on the slide. And up here we have dollars, okay? So we have 1,000 down to our goal, which is 800. So this is our goal. So the first, our most desired outcome, we would like to sell this for 1,000. That's our most desired outcome. That's our first solution. Then over here we have 900. All right? And so that becomes our second solution. And then if we take the difference, that's the difference of 1,000 minus 800. Half of that distance is 900. If we take the distance from here to here, that would be 50. So half of that distance would be 850. That becomes this solution here. And then it goes down to 825. That would be this solution here. And then it would go to 812.50, and so on and so forth. So that would be a solution out here. So what we end up with is this kind of a pattern. And it's the rule of halves. We start off, we take the difference between the MDO and the goal, cut it in half, cut it in half again, cut it in half, cut it in half. So we end up with this kind of a diagram where we're approaching the x-axis. So if I'm in a negotiation, the other party, hopefully, in a perfect world, they would be below us, right? Because they're buying, we're selling, they're buying. So they would be down here somewhere, okay? And they're actually coming up towards us. So they're coming up, and we're going down. Okay, so they're down here, and let's assume their goal is they might have started off way down here at 600. 600, that would have been their MDO. And they're coming up, and someplace in a perfect world will intersect. Okay. Does it ever look like that? Sometimes. You know, not always, sometimes. But what I want you to take away today is that think about the concessions that you're planning to make. Think about that in advance. Have a plan. And it'll make the negotiations go a lot easier if you have a plan. And if you make healthy movements in the beginning, you know, we dropped it by 100 and then by 50 and then by 25. If we'll show flexibility up here, then it gets the changes get less and less down here. So the delta becomes less and less. And what happens to the other side is they feel that we're making changes, we're still being flexible, but the changes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So they can feel like this is going to be as low as we're going to go. And we can feel that this is as high as they're going to go. And we would hope to intersect someplace around that x-axis. That's a lot of material that we've covered. So let's see how well we did. All right. You guys want to work on a little exercise? All right. We have English and we have Portuguese, please. Or maybe it's just in Portuguese. This is a case. So why don't you work? You can work in teams. We'll put you three together, you three together, you three, you three, you four can work together, and we can have a larger group back here. So, let's see. Do we have the Portuguese version, please?
If you go one slide up over, it's,
Oh, you have it
yes, sir.
in here?
Yes.
All right. So.